on a Friday night. Whoa, it is 10:50 Pacific time. So I'm on the West Coast now. So for all of my East Coast folks, you've probably all gone to bed already. I'm gonna try to do these lives earlier in the evening so that more of you guys have an opportunity to catch them live. But I wanted to go live tonight to have the conversation around the price of retro video games. More specifically, what I'm paying for some of the retro games, especially some of the more recent retro games that I've picked up. Because if there's one thing that I forgot about YouTube, is that there are people who only live on YouTube. They don't really go outside. They don't really they don't step out into the real world. So it's just hard for them to believe certain things. But I want to have a real discussion and really talk about what I'm paying for some of these games that I've picked up because I got a few comments and I want to kind of dispel a few myths, right? So, really quickly here, right now, there are really two main places that I'm sourcing my games from. The first place is eBay. The second place is networking through people I meet on eBay. So for instance, if I see a game on I'll give you an example. Well, I have an example that I'll share with you guys tomorrow because tomorrow I'll be doing a trade and I'll be picking up some very, very rare stuff. And those items I will have only been able to get through networking. But long story short, there was a game that I saw on eBay and I reached out to the seller. The seller asked me to contact them through another channel because of eBay rules. And we were able to negotiate a deal. And I'm going to be meeting them to pick that deal up tomorrow. So, eBay is one way. Uh, also, GameStop is another way. It just depends on the game that I'm getting. That's going to kind of determine the prices that I'm paying for certain items. So, for instance, when you look at like something like a complete in box Sega CDX, that is not something that you're really not going to find this at most mom and pop shops. A complete in box Sega CDX, you might find it at one mom and pop shop somewhere, pretty random, but these are so limited, and you don't really see them that often that eBay is going to be like the best place for something like this. And right now, a complete in box copy of not copy, but a complete in box Sega CDX is going to run you anywhere between $1,000, and I've seen them go all the way up to $6,000. Am I paying that much for a Sega CDX? No, I'm not paying that. But I would say that I'm paying closer to what the normal market rate would be for a Sega CDX. And this is something that I would source off of eBay. When it comes to GameStop, though, GameStop is really all about luck and timing. That's really what it is. And in the past 5 years, I've had a lot of really good luck and I've had a lot of really good timing. Here, an example would be today. Went to GameStop. They had a really beat up copy of Jackie Chan's Action Kung Fu. There's actually a really cool side scrolling beat 'em up game for the NES. Now, obviously, this isn't in mint condition. It's got some stuff, it's got some residue right here. I'm gonna have to figure out what somebody's like, it looks like somebody's leftover barbecue chicken that they left on the side of the cartridge there. So I am gonna have to do some cleaning up. But this is a game that I did find at a GameStop. And usually with games, these types of games that they have at GameStop, usually GameStop charges, around 95 bucks for these types of games. So the only way you really get a deal is if you go to the GameStop and you take advantage of their promotion where if you spend 250 or more, then they'll take basically 10% off of the total purchase, along with the normal 5% that you get off if you're a pro member. So that's 15% off that you'll get off of the game, right? So, that's just one example. And then, of course, they had a few other like Game Boy Advance games there that I went ahead and picked up, and these were all at pretty much market rate. Now, I think the games that a lot of people have a hard time believing that I got from GameStop are some of these really, really rare NES games like DuckTales 2 and Snow Brothers and, Bucky O'Hare. And I think one, I got a specific comment on Gunnack, and somebody was like, they basically said that, it's BS. There's no way that I could have found a copy of Gunnack at GameStop. But the reality of it is that I did. I went to a GameStop because I've been going to GameStops all around Southern California so far. So I've gone to the one in like Rancho Cucamonga. I've gone to the one there's one in Riverside. I've gone to the one in Moreno Valley. I've hit a few like out closer towards LA. I've hit a few out in like Orange County. And this particular copy I was able to find at the GameStop in Moreno Valley. So I was in Moreno Valley, and I happened to just walk into GameStop, and I guess a guy had taken all of his NES games and traded them in at GameStop. I don't know if he had done it that day or the day before, but they didn't have them on display. They just had them in the drawer. And the only reason why I was able to see them was because I had asked the girl about, I think I had asked her for like a Game Boy game or something like that. And when she opened the drawer, I saw this humongous stack of like it was a drawer packed with NES games. So I was like, oh shoot, are those NES games? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, well, can I get a list, or do you mind if I come around and take a look? Because it was just too many games to look at. It had to have been at least like 60, 70 NES games, easily that many games. And so, I did the vintage, hey, can I look at the drawer to see what's there? And when I first walked over there, the first game that stuck out to me was Gunnack. I was like, there is no way there's a copy of this game here at this GameStop. And she was like, yeah, it's here. Now, this copy of Gunnack was $95. This copy of Snow Brothers, again, $95. This copy of Bucky O'Hare, $95. DuckTales 2 was $95. Bomberman was $95 as well. I think Ninja Gaiden 3, this one was a little cheaper. I think this one was like $59 for Ninja Gaiden 3. Chippendales 2 was $95. G.I. Joe, I believe, was like $50. Castlevania Legends was 95, and Batman, I think, was like closer to 50 or so. Jackie Chan's Kung Fu was 95, and this game, I want to say this game was around like $50 or so. So all in, for all of these NES games, I would say these games cost me roughly like $1,000 for all of these games. And now I said this the night that I picked it up because a lot of people were like, "Oh, like what were the prices?" Those were some of the comments that I got. And I've got the receipt somewhere. Oh shoot, did I forget a game? I think I forgot a game. Oh yeah, Terra Cresta. I keep forgetting. I had a copy of Terra Cresta as well. So Terra Cresta was in that bunch. So all of these games, and I think Terra Cresta was like $50. So all these games were roughly like $1,000. Now, I said this in my other live stream the other night, and I'll say it again. To some people, $1,000 for this stack of game is like, bro, that's way too much money. I would never spend that much money. And you're right, $1,000 is a lot of money. It's nothing to sneeze at. It's nothing to take lightly. However, I kind of had an idea. Now, I didn't know down to the penny how much these games were worth, but I had a pretty good idea of how much these games were worth. And I knew right off the bat that Castlevania Legends was easily a $150 game. So to me, Well, it really wound up costing me like $90 when you factor in all the discounts. To me, $90 for this wasn't a bad deal. GI Joe, this was pretty much market rate. I think I paid market rate for GI Joe. But for certain games, for instance, like Chip and Dale 2, paying $95 for a game that's worth close to $400 to me felt like a good deal. I got it for 75% off. So yeah, it's a lot of money, but this was a good deal. And this is a real copy. I've opened all of these copies. So I've checked all the motherboards. These are all authentic games. None of these are fake. And to me, paying 90 bucks for a close to $400 game was a good deal. Um, Ninja Gaiden 3, I want to say, was a little bit under market value. So this is probably like a $90 game, 90 to $100 game. So to pay like $65 for this game, to me, still felt like a decent deal. It wasn't a bad deal. Um, Bomberman 2, I want to say, is maybe like a $200 game. Again, so to pay 95, I basically got it for 50% off. DuckTales 2. Now, this one was also like $90, but again, DuckTales 2 is like a $350 game. So to me, it made sense. To other people, it might not make sense. Like maybe to a reseller, it doesn't make sense. But to me, that felt like a good deal. What's going on, Scott? How you doing, man? Yeah, Chippendale 2. Chippendales 2 was in there. This was in there. I'm just going over some of the prices right now because again, the same thing used to happen when I was on the East Coast. I would find all kinds of games at GameStop. And I would always get comments like, bro, you're lying. There's no way you found that at GameStop. You're a liar. And I would just be like, dude, why would I make that up? Like, who has the time to make that type of stuff up? Like, that's just dumb. But anyway, so yeah, so DuckTales 2, to pay $90 for this one just felt like a good deal. To me, right? Like 350, paying $90 for a game that's worth 350, that seems like a no-brainer to me. I don't know. And some of these is not even really just about the value. It's like you never see them, and some of these you never see them in this condition. For instance, this copy of Bucky O'Hare is clean as hell. Man, this is like a super clean copy. This was 90 bucks. And Bucky O'Hare, I've seen copies, go online for like 250. So to me, this was a good deal. It made sense. Same thing with Snow Brothers. I've never seen a copy of Snow Brothers in real life. And yeah, it has this little nick on there. But again, this is another one that was just, to pay 90 for it, it made sense. And then of course, ultimately, this is the game that I got the most hate for. Somebody was like, "Oh, you're BSing. You're full of crap. There's no way you found that game." Yeah, I actually did. And I paid 90 bucks for it. And to me, again, it made sense. So while yes, I spent roughly like $1,000 on all these games, when I did the math, this was a little over $2,000 worth of games. So, and I'm rebuilding my collection. These aren't games I'm flipping. These are games that I'm adding back to my collection. Most of you guys who've followed the channel, most of you know that when I had the collection back in the day, for me, I had most of these. Like I had Ninja Gaiden 3 back in the day. I had where's it at? I had Batman. So I had Batman in my old collection. I had these two games, and it really hurt to sell these two. But who would have thought that I would have found these again, like just a couple months later? And this copy of Ninja Gaiden is actually better than my original. And so, you know, this just kind of falls in line with what I've been talking about like just the retro gaming market. If you're hunting and if you're looking for video games, and you're trying to build a collection, you're not trying to flip games. If you're trying to flip games, then you're gonna have a hard time because the margins aren't really there as much unless you're buying collections in bulk. But if you're a collector, this is a great time because people are selling their collections left and right. There's like low key, people are selling their collections. You have people with $100,000 collections, $200,000 collections that are out there selling their collections at half the price because they just need the money. They want to get rid of it. And I know because I was in that position myself. I was in a position where I was moving. I didn't want to have to take, a bunch of games with me to where I was moving to. And I sold my entire collection. Were out there selling their collections, getting rid of stuff. And believe it or not, a lot of people are taking these games to GameStop because you got to think, right? Like, especially in a city like Moreno Valley in California, or even just any one of these like small towns in California, because there's a lot of like California is built different. There's a lot of like little towns all over Southern California. You got Redlands, Yucaipa, Riverside, Moreno Valley, Upland, Montclair, or not Montclair, Claremont. You got Pomona. You have all these little cities, and there's so many houses in Southern California, so many, and some of these towns are really old. Like they've got homes that were built in the 80s, and you have a lot of people in these homes who their kids have grown up, and it's been decades since their kids have come back home, and they've got stuff like this laying all over their house. And so they're just taking it to the nearest GameStop and they're selling it because they don't really know what it's worth. They're like, they're just like, hey, listen, I'll take, they might have an idea because maybe they've seen like a YouTube video or two, but they don't have the time to be posting stuff on Facebook Marketplace, or they're not going to be posting stuff on eBay. They're just going to take it down to GameStop and sell it because it's the easiest thing to do for them. And I know it might seem like, the big resellers, like the big YouTubers, like the ones that we all know about. I know it might seem like they've bought everything and it's like, oh, there's no more inventory left. I don't believe that at all. I honestly think that there are still tons of addicts across America that are filled with retro games that people just haven't touched yet. They're out there. There's still plenty of stuff out there. It's not like it's not out there. It's out there. It's just that a lot of those folks, like, like the Chases, like the Phoenix resales, they're just not pounding the pavement anymore. They're just not doing it like they used to because they've graduated from having to go from yard sale to yard sale. They've graduated from that level. They're not on that level anymore. They've they've built themselves to the point where people bring their stuff to them now. They put themselves in the position of a GameStop. And now people are bringing their stuff to them. And so they don't have to do that anymore. But again, not everybody's trying to be chase after the right price or Phoenix resale. Some people just genuinely want to collect video games. And if you want to collect video games, then there's plenty of stuff out there. You know what I mean? And I don't even go hunting like that. Like I don't even go out there. Like I occasionally just randomly walking into a GameStop, or I'll randomly go to, I'll just see something, or I'll see someone online, or I'll make a connection and I'll say, "Hey, are you selling that?" And sometimes that's all it takes. Sometimes all it takes is seeing something on someone's Facebook post or even on their Instagram. You see a collector, or you see someone who has something on their Instagram, you might DM them and just say like, "Hey, are you trying to sell that?" And they might say, "Yeah." Now you can't DM someone who's selling a very rare item and then ask them to sell it to you for 30% off. Like that's dumb. Like they're going to say no. They might even ignore you. But if you reach out to someone and you're like, "Hey man, maybe you look for 5% off. Maybe you ask them for 10, max maybe 15% off." Then people will respond, especially if it's on eBay, because you got to think, if someone's selling something on eBay, they're going to lose 15% right off the bat in eBay fees. So if someone has a game that's worth $1,000 and you go to them and you say, "Hey, listen, would you take 850 offline?" They'd be willing to do that because one, they don't have, they're going to lose that 15% in eBay fees anyway. Two, doing cash means that they don't have to pay the taxes and you don't have to pay the taxes either. So that's doing cash deals because no one has to pay taxes on either side. They don't have to, no one has to pay sales tax. They don't have to pay the taxes that from the profits that they earn from selling the game. So there's a lot of ways that you can like maneuver the system. But I'm just making this video because, when I post some things, people are like, "Oh, it's fake." It's that, bro. No one has time for that, bro. Like, I sure don't. Like, no one has time to be out here making fake pickup videos. Like, and if people are still doing that in 2026, you got to get a life, man. The only reason why I don't show more of the actual pickup footage is because when these things happen, they happen really fast. Like, they're not planned. Like, I'm not sitting here planning to film myself picking up this amazing pickup. So that's why I don't have the footage. I mean, think about it. Who like when you actually find something randomly in the when you're out and about, you don't have time to go plan that. Like you're not like rolling around with a camera thinking, yeah, I'm gonna find a copy of Gun Knack today. Like no one's who's doing that. That it's the videos where people are filming these amazing pickups. That's where I'm skeptical because I know what it's like to randomly find a really rare game. You're not prepared for it. You don't have your camera rolling. You don't have you don't have that stuff ready. You all you have time for is to get your wallet out and to say how much and buy it and leave. Like and so that's why I never really have like and I try, but it's hard. I'm more focused on like getting the actual damn game and leaving than I am making the content because the content who cares about that? Like nobody really cares to like see that. I mean, I guess some people do. Like some of you guys, you've commented and you're like, "Hey, Y2K, can you film like the process more?" And I'm gonna try. Like tomorrow, I actually have a planned pickup, right? So tomorrow, I'm gonna be picking up two really good condition consoles, really good. So I will film that. I'm also gonna be picking up four pristine, really rare games. So I will film that, but that's not going to be like a $2 find. That these are pickups that I'm picking up from a fellow collector who's pretty much charging me pretty close to market rate. And that's not exciting, I guess, to a lot of people because it doesn't have that reseller appeal where you found it for $2 and you could flip it for no, like as collectors, we don't care about that, especially if what you're collecting is in good condition. Like people aren't selling complete in box Sega CDXs for $2. Like somebody left a comment like, "Oh, let me guess, $30 at GameStop." No, like people aren't selling stuff like this for $2. Like it's just not out there. Like you gotta pay up. So I'm saying that all this to say that collecting these days, if you want good stuff, you're gonna have to pay up. You might get lucky and walk into a GameStop and they have Gun Knack for $90. They might. They might. I didn't say they had Gun Knack for $9. No, they had it for $90. But let's remember, would you do? Like, would you, if you're a collector, remember, not a reseller. If you're a collector and you walk into the store and they have Gun Knack for $90, are you gonna be like, no, it's not $5. I'm out of here. Like, no, most collectors are gonna be like, what? $90? Give me that. Because they know how much it's worth. So that's that. Let me catch up to some of the comments. 95 is crazy. Yeah, I agree with you, Scott. 95 is crazy. Finding a copy of Snow Brothers for $90 is crazy to me. Like that's a good deal. DuckTales 2 for 90 bucks. Yeah, it's like that's crazy. Yeah, of course, I'm gonna buy that. Like give me that all day. Give me that. That's all day because I know in 2026 it's gonna be really hard to find that anywhere else. And if you do find a really rare game at a flea market or thrift store for $2, that is a that is lightning in a bottle. That is not a common occurrence. And that's why I kind of don't like those videos on YouTube because like a person will see that and think like they're gonna find that. And it's like the odds of you finding that are very, very low, right? Like very low. You with all the gas and the time you're gonna burn looking to find a copy of a $300 game for $2, you might as well have just gone on eBay and bought it. Like it just doesn't make sense. Like, and that's where a lot of people get it confused, and they do it because there's like this dopamine rush that hits you when you leave your house on a Saturday morning at 5 a.m. thinking this will be the day that I find that really rare game for $2. Like that's the mindset of a gambling addict. That's the mindset of someone who likes to gamble. Like if you treat game hunting like a slot machine and every yard sale as like a pull of the slot machine, hoping that when you get there, you're gonna stumble across some really rare item for $2 and get it. Like that's the mindset of someone who gambles. And I don't treat collecting like some type of gambling addiction. No, it's not what it is. If I want a Sega CDX complete in box, I'm gonna go buy it. It's that simple. It's that simple. Like it's that simple. And not everything has to be expensive. You can go and get a copy of Mega Man Zero 2 for 20 bucks. Not everything has to be super expensive. Not but it is what it is. I think sometimes the people who have a hard time believing certain things are, I feel like those are the people with that gambler's mindset where it's like there's no way you found that for that, because that's what they do. They get up every day treating game hunting like some type of trip to Las Vegas or Atlantic City, and that they're gonna like miraculously stumble across some really rare game for cheap, and that just doesn't happen every day. Jack Bat, what's going on, man? Thank you. Yeah, some of this stuff is nice, some of it's dirty. Like, look, some of this, not all of it's like in great condition either. Like, some of it's actually like this copy of DuckTales is a little dirty. There's some fraying on the, you see, like there's a little bit of damage to the label on this copy of DuckTales too. There's like a little discoloring. I have to clean some of these. I still have to take like all I did was check to make sure that these were real. I haven't even gone in and like really cleaned them yet. But like DuckTales 2, it's got some damage. Gun Knack, it has a little bit of label damage. You can see the label damage right there. So it's got some label damage. What else has damage? Just Batman's got a little label damage on there. Jackie Chan has some damage, right? It's got some gunk on there, right? So some of this stuff is like, you got to clean it up. Even look, this Chippendales Rescue Rangers 2, even though this is probably one of the most expensive games, if not the most expensive, look, it's got some discoloration on the sticker. Like I'm not gonna be able to get this out. There's nothing I can do to get rid of that. That's gonna be there. So I mean, I just gotta live with that if I want to keep the game, which I do, right? Maybe I could get some of the sticker residue off. This looks like some type of like, I don't know, maybe a rental store, or I don't know, but there's some residue on here. So that's you got some damage there, and so they're not all like in perfect condition. Snow Brothers is in pretty decent shape. It's got a little ding right there. See, so it's got a little damage. It's got a little sticker residue on that. And it's not perfect. Bucky O'Hare is super clean though, man. This is a freaking clean copy of Bucky O'Hare. Same thing with Ninja Gaiden 3, man. Beautiful, beautiful copies right there. And even Castlevania Legends, beautiful, like very clean copy, all legit, all real. But the point of the matter is that it's not a perfect world, man. It's not a perfect collecting world. But if you put in a little bit of effort, you can find some good stuff. Demi Remy says, "Hi, definitely believe you there. Since that happens to me as well, sometimes especially on 3DS bundle from 2 years ago. Yeah, 3DS is hot right now too. 3DS is so hot. I don't know why, but it is. It's really hot. Damage on games is fine. I think it adds I think it adds character too. I think get damage on video games adds a bunch of character, you know? Cypher says, I spend entire nights just cleaning. My 360 had a stuck disk drive, and all I did to fix it was alcohol swab and the dirt and grime off the sides. Yeah. Sometimes that's all it takes is a little bit of TLC, and you could clean these games up. Some of these need a really good cleaning. I'm gonna have to go in and clean some of these up, but the moral of the story here tonight is it's because I know what's gonna happen. Now that I'm collecting again, you're gonna have those people who just they just it's the people who treat collecting like gambling that are gonna have a hard time believing you when you say you found a good deal. And a good deal doesn't mean a reseller deal. Getting a game for 40% off is a good deal. You don't have to find every video game for $2. It's like, I don't know, that like we really got to break that myth when it comes to collecting. Maybe that's the rules for reselling, but when it comes to collecting, I mean, shoot, if it's a really really rare game, like if there's only 5 of the games out there and you have to pay market price, but you were actually able to find one, in some cases even that's a good deal. You know what I'm saying? Even that's a good deal. You know, if you found a copy, a clean label copy of Hagane and you paid market rate, you got a good deal because there's really not many copies of that game out. So it just boils down to you on what you really want to collect and what matters to you when it comes to building your collection. I know that now that I'm back in the game, you know, whenever I have weeks like this was a really good week. I haven't had a week like this in a really long time. Really, really long time. I haven't had a week like this since, man, if I had to say, I have not had a week like this past week in a few months. It's probably since before leaving to to move. I haven't had a week like this in a long time. And not everyone's going to care because not everyone's collecting. Some people, they all they care about is, the resale. We collect, and I really regret selling. Like, I had some really good stuff. For those of you who are new to my channel, just go back and watch some of my old videos. Like, look at my PlayStation 2 collection. God, I miss my PlayStation 2 collection. I miss my PS1 collection. And I know that I could get all those games back. It's not going to be hard. Like, some games are going to be hard. Some games are going to be really hard. I would say the hardest games for me to get back right now, the most difficult games for me to find are going to be Silent Bomber on the PlayStation 1. That's going to be tough to find. A tough one to find. Another tough one is going to be like top 10 hardest games that I used to have. Like the top 10 games that I used to have that I'm going to try to find now is going to be Silent Bomber for the PlayStation 1. That's going to be really hard. Lords of Thunder for the Sega CD. That's going to be really hard to find. Burning Rangers on the Sega Saturn is going to be very difficult to find. Giga Wing 2 for the Dreamcast. That is going to be very hard to find. What else is going to be really hard to find that I used to have? Those are like the main ones that shoot to the top of my head. I did have a complete in-box copy of Demon's Crest. That's gonna be tough to come by again. I had a clean label copy of Metal Warriors. That is gonna be difficult to find. Um, I mean, there's just a bunch of stuff that I had that I know is gonna be really difficult to find again. I know I'll find it again. It's just gonna take me some time. But hey, if I could find all of these at, in some cases, 25% off, I mean, sorry, 70% off, 75% off, if I can find all these, I'm sure in Southern California, I'll be able to do just as much damage, if not more, than what I did when I was in New York. So, but that does it for me. Just trying to give you guys a little bit of transparency on what I paid for some of these games. No, I did not get these games for $2 at a flea market, but I did get extremely good deals on them. And when you look at the entire lot of games, I probably got 50 to 60% off the value off of most of these games because some of these are really, really rare. But let me know what you guys think. Tomorrow's going to be a big day. Going to try to capture the deal that I do. And hopefully we can make that into a more longer form video for you guys. I'm going to try to get back to posting more. But until then, I will catch you in the next video. It is the Y2K Collector. You guys take it easy.